listening to the ProgAxia podcast.
Okay, well, let's get on to the next choice. And let's go and find the albums. If I can find them, I've got them here somewhere.
There you go.
Selling England by the pound. Selling England by the bloody pound.
Yeah. Ah, my word. It's got lyric sheets. That's good.
Yeah, got the lyric sheet.
So, I mean, I can remember when somebody first played me Seconds Out. And again, it's one of those moments in time which is like, I'm never going to forget where I am when this moment took place. Absolutely fantastic. And some of the highlights of that album were, the cinema show. And it told a story. It took me. The musicianship seemed superb. It had dynamic to it. It talked about Romeo and Juliet. So for a minute there, I thought I knew what was going on, and then I was trying to work out what a chocolate surprise was. I did eventually work that one out. Talked about Father Tiresias, and no one at school seemed to know who he was either. So, but I mean, what dynamic to it it builds, and that live version, we're talking about the studio version here, but now the live version, the way that Tony Banks builds it up and comes to that crescendo. I mean, as a young boy, it's a pretty orgasmic moment, I've got to say, Andy. I mean, it was just said so much. And then this album, we talked about, I ranted a bit about the artwork on the previous album, which didn't quite hit it for me. This was a beautiful painting, and I think it was it Peter and Tony that had gone up to town and met Betty Sonic and talked to her into letting them have. But then it's selling England by the pound. Oh, that's a pun I can get, And Isle of Plenty. Oh, I can get that as well. And Dancing with the Moonlit Knight. Oh, Citizens of Hope of Glory. And I was in. I was bought into it. And Battle of Epping Forest, and it's interesting track, too much going on, but there was a story there, and there's lots of music there, and again bursting with creativity. And Firth of Fifth, wow, that guitar solo, brilliant album, absolutely. Cinema show, Isle of Plenty, Pest cooperating, taking the safe way home.
Cooperates. Love that.
Exactly.
I know. Words is just superb.
Yeah, Liquid Len in the Battle of Epping Forest. I mean, it all comes back so vividly, even after 40 years. I mean, it's fantastic. Great choice. Cinema show. Romeo locks his basement flat and scurries up the stairs. Yeah, I mean, and you got those little bits of percussion going on. Phil Collins, hitting funny things and making funny sounds, and it didn't get boring at any minute for me. It was just like, this is going somewhere. I know it is, and I'm along for the ride. Love the track, brilliant track.
Yeah, I mean, just as a bit of a disclaimer, me and you are massive Genesis fans.
Yeah,
and for a very good reason. Genesis are probably one of the most consistent progressive rock bands ever. Right from the very first album, what I call the very first album, the Trespass album.
Yeah. Trespass up to Wind and Wuthering. Brilliant.
Yeah, right up to Wind and Wuthering, complete Genesis. Yeah. Beyond that, there's some good stuff and stuff I'm not so it just doesn't really bake my cookies. But I had a chat with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about doing a little thing about doing Genesis albums, and the top 10 Genesis albums, from just the worst to the best.
Yeah.
And we decided not to do it because it's an impossible task. Because I like them all. I like them all basically of equal measure for different reasons. So you can see right through time how they evolved the sound and changed. And if you are a Genesis fan, you may have gone into this little hole that I went into, where I was following the band's progress by the keyboards that Tony Banks got, because on the first album it's one, you've got your Moogs and your electric pianos and things like that. But by the time they got to 78 and through, it was using the Pro Soloists and all those sort of things. But the album. I mean, if we got, you talk about all these tracks on this album, Dancing with the Moonlit Night, classic. I Know What I Like, a brilliant live track, because they can expand it, and this is where Phil Collins did his amazing tambourine dance when I first went to see them.
Abusing Mike Rutherford, yes.
Abusing Mike Rutherford's head and things like that. But Firth of Fifth is absolutely astonishing. And Battle of Epping Forest, I know it's too busy, and people will say it's too busy and things like that, but I listen to it and I love it. I sing all the way through. I actually mentioned this to a mate of mine online, and we had a little virtual talk, and because we talked about this Genesis album, he just verbatim went through all the lyrics of Epping Forest. He just, for the first 2 or 3 minutes of that conversation, he was just saying the lyrics from his head of the Battle of Epping Forest, and it's like, and it's incredible. And then after the Ordeal, Cinema Show and Isle of Plenty. On the show, on this show, I put Cinema Show and Isle of Plenty because I can't play Isle of Plenty after Cinema. I can't not play Isle of Plenty after Cinema Show. It's just in and it's part of it as far as I'm concerned. But I think from a position of where this album sits in the sort of, I don't know, the prog Hall of Fame, got to be right up there.
Whenever they do polls, Andy, this and Close to the Edge, Yes is Close to the Edge, always, in the top 5, if not the top 3, these two always up there.
Yeah.
And I just did a quick count in my head. So I think Trespass through to Wind and Wuthering, I think that's 7 studio albums on the bounce. All of them. I mean, that's pretty high quality control, isn't it? Yeah. And just thinking about some of the other bands we could mention, could they reel 7 off the bounce like that?
75 was the only year that they didn't actually bring an album out, because Peter Gabriel left in 74, but they brought 2 out in 76.
Yeah.
They brought Trigger the Tail at the beginning and Wind Mother in at the end of 76. So that's what I'm saying. They're the most consistent band, completely consistent band every single year of the 70s, 2 in 76. So you could say every year of the 70s, because Trigger the Tail came out quite early in 76, and so
I think Wuthering was about November, I think, that year.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Genesis always did well, I think, over that period of time was, from the first track, always a great start to an album. And Dancing with the Moonlit Knight, when you've got Peter Gabriel just singing to begin with, and then the bass comes in, and then and it's like, it gets you by the ball straight away. It's like, it's got something which all seems a little bit fade to begin with, and then it rocks. And it's like, brilliant.
Yeah, every single track on it a winner as far. Even Epping Forest is a winner for me.